Yo, 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 Wellness Posse, the Hallie Waddell. Let's try this. Take number 2. We have no connectivity down here, so hopefully this works. Welcome to Wellness Posse Wednesdays, where I talk to my favorite wellness professionals like Miss Abby, my first yogi on Wellness Posse Wednesday, and we discuss what real wellness means and how to shift it from self-hate and bullshit to real transformation. So I'm so excited to have Miss Abby. We are actually in a Facebook group, a wellness group together. Well, Austin Wellness,
Holistic Wellness
something.
It's great.
It's amazing. We don't remember the name, but it's awesome. So, Abby, introduce yourself to the Wellness Posse.
Hey, Wellness Posse. My name is Abby Robbins. I am a yoga instructor, and I am knee-deep in my training to become a yoga therapist. We'll probably get into what that is a little bit later into the broadcast, because that's a very different thing. Yeah, I've been living here in Austin for about 2.5 years. I love coffee, my dog. I have a wonderful partner, and yeah, just living the good life.
That's awesome. So I like to start everybody off with kind of their definition of what does wellness really mean to them, kind of their wellness philosophy, or how would you kind of explain what wellness is in your life?
To me, wellness, again, it is really elevating the word, the concept, to something that is not just about your body, but is something also about your mind and your emotions. To me,
There's some button going on. Hold
there's
on.
a button up
Okay,
there.
there we
All
go.
right. To me, wellness is about being aware of and understanding who we are in a holistic way. So, I kind of follow under the school that divides the human person into 3 centers. So the mind, the heart, and the body. So your intellect, your emotions, and your physical being.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware of what's going on in each one of those centers, and we need to know how to use each one of those appropriately in the situations of our lives.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of my definition of wellness, and what that ends up looking like is, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy emotions, solid relationships, and a general sense of self-awareness.
Yeah. So, which is completely what many people on this show have talked about before, which is really, that's why we're talking about this, is it's not about the physique. And so many people view wellness or health as, you look healthy.
You look healthy.
You look healthy. And
like,
then you get to know people and you're like, that person, they're struggling in a lot of ways. Either emotionally or even physically, even if they look healthy, maybe they're not actually healthy physically. But most of us come to that awareness because we were not
Deeply
there,
unhealthy.
not there at some point, and now
Yes.
we've had this awakening. And for me, yoga definitely was one of the first steps after working out when I started when I was 18. Yoga, I quickly found 19, 20-ish. And so it was my first kind of idea into understanding mindfulness, understanding breath work, and I understand your path is kind of similar to that. So I'd love for you to share with kind of what was your path, how did you get here?
Okay.
So,
back in 1989, for me, I mean, like you said, like a lot of people, I found the practice of yoga in the midst of a lot of turmoil in my life. I basically, in the course of like a month, changed everything about my life. I broke up with my male partner of 4 and on some change years, moved across the country, quit my job, and landed in this tiny town in Arkansas. There I chose this tiny conservative town in Arkansas to come out as
that
queer.
seems like
I left Denver, like the gay mecca of the West, to come out in a small town in Arkansas. And really, I was just dealing with myself and the fact that I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. I had no real self-awareness. I didn't understand why, not just my romantic relationships, but I mean, I had I got a pretty good clue about why my romantic relationships weren't working. But you know, friendships and that sort of thing, like everything felt a little bit lacking. My physical health was not great. I was terribly out of shape. I had a terrible diet. Did no physical exercise whatsoever. So it was really this culmination of everything all at once.
Yeah.
And I was really just kind of hanging on by a thread, and a friend of mine dragged me to a yoga class. And I'd spent my high school years being really extremely athletic, very competitive and into sports. But after a knee injury, I just kind of like checked out physically. And I went to a power vinyasa class. So like 100 degrees, super sweaty, just epically kicked my ass. Like, and I collapsed into Shavasana, like almost dead, just like knocking on death's door. And
We've all been
yeah, just like, oh God.
What just happened to me?
Totally not expecting that at all from what I had heard about yoga. And there was just this like little light bulb went off, and I was like, well, I guess this is what I do now. Something clicked for me in that, and I went from going to never been to a yoga class before to being in the studio like 9 times a week.
Wow.
In the course of like 2 to 3 months. I changed my diet. I was exercising constantly. My relationships and friendships improved. I lost 35 pounds and
wow.
like kept it off, like all in the course of about 6 months. Like it was like an epic Phoenix Rising sort of situation. And shortly after all of this kind of culminated, my yoga teacher was like, this is clearly doing something for you. You're going to want to teach it. So here's my friend who does trainings, and you need to go do this. And I did, and then almost immediately like hired right out of graduation and started teaching classes, started teaching private clients, and you know, continued my own personal practice. And it really just transformed my life, like in literally every aspect. Like I cannot overstate what this practice has done for me.
Yeah. When was that?
That was in.
When did that whole
I
kind of...
started yoga at the end of 2013.
Oh,
So like
semi-recently.
recently.
Yeah.
But it was intense. It was
Oh, yeah.
it was a
Wasn't
you
a
know,
gradual
yeah, no, it was,
transformation.
you know, there are a lot of people who like kind of slowly go into things, and that's never been my thing. I don't like
You're
going
like, fuck it
slow.
all at once. Let's just
I'm
do
like, no! Which is now a thing that I'm working on in my personality to find more balance. Yeah, so it was a really, really drastic hard left turn for me that really has paid off.
Yeah.
So,
So yoga obviously is one of those things that kind of keeps you centered, keeps you grounded and probably healthy and mentally healthy, probably on all aspects healthy.
yeah, exactly.
What, if you weren't going to say yoga, what would kind of be your top 2 or 3 things that you would suggest to people that are kind of, you know, I don't like to say quick at all, but what are kind of your best bang for the buck wellness practices?
Okay.
And yoga actually can be one of them. So
Yeah.
I think it is actually one of mine. For
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, I got this question earlier, and yoga was definitely on there. So if you have to take it off, then I'm going to have to think for a second. But
You can
I
add
mean, yoga is definitely on there. But I want to put the caveat of like not just showing up to yoga classes. When I say yoga, I mean capital Y yoga, and I'm talking about the whole shebang. So the 8 limbs, as they call them. So we're talking physical postures, we're talking meditation, we're talking breath work, we're talking principles to live your life by. So in yoga, there's this concept of the yamas and the niyamas. So basically, like the way that you treat yourself, and then the way that you treat the rest of the world. So, I mean, yoga is definitely number 1, and it is so big.
It could be all 3.
Yeah, I mean, it could be all 3. I mean, it could be 100. But, yeah, so I would definitely say yoga. Another thing in my life that has been just off the charts bang for my buck as far as creating a healthy mental and emotional state is this. It's gonna sound cheesy. Hang with me. It's a personality typology system called the Enneagram.
I love it.
Yeah,
I'm a 7.
yeah, you are. The 8-wing.
Oh yes. Like my dad.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with the Enneagram. We haven't talked about that, but it's like one of my favorite things on the planet.
Yeah, so I mean, I had one of
That's
my
awesome.
very.
I had no
yeah,
idea.
Didn't plan this. This is wonderful. That kind of goes back to that 3-centered thing that I was referring back to. Essentially, the Enneagram is a system similar. I like to call it the ancient spiritual Myers-Briggs.
Completely.
So if anybody, we're all kind of looking for who we are, and I would guess that many of you like to get on Facebook and do those dumb personality tests, like which color?
Kardashian
Yeah.
are you? Don't be a Kardashian. Be zero Kardashian.
Yeah, be none of those. But we desire to know who we are. And it comes to a shock to some of us and a relief to most of us that we're not as unique as we think. There is kind of a way that we fall into these certain patterns. And there has been a long lineage of people kind of keeping track of these for us. And the Enneagram, the thing that sets it apart from something like Myers-Briggs or StrengthsFinder or like that just laundry list of other personality tests is that it's dynamic. So it moves the way that you move. It's really easy to get kind of pigeonholed in an I am an ENFP and,
That's
whatever.
what I am forever,
exactly.
and I shall never act any other way.
Which, like, if anybody's ever gone deep with those things, you hit the bottom real fast. Like, you run out of room really quickly. And the Enneagram, I've been actively studying and practicing the tenets and the teachings of the Enneagram for about 3.5 years now.
That's so awesome.
and I still feel like I'm just at the surface. Like I could go so deep with this because it tells you who you are, and it tells you who you could be.
Yeah. And how you're functioning in a healthy manner, and what actions show that you're functioning in an unhealthy manner, and where you can skew to each side. It is one of the most insightful things I've ever done, not only for myself, but then also had people that I'm with. My dad and his wife are very into it, so it helps me and my dad relate.
Yeah.
My boyfriend has done it, and it, like, he thought that I was psychic. Like, I was reading it to him,
super
and he was
easy.
like, what the
Who's been watching me?
But it has helped him so much, gain so much insightfulness about how and why he acts and what kind of actions he does that he needs to stay in for. And mine, being a 7, is I am an ADD distracted mofo, and if I am unhealthy, I will FOMO myself till I cannot just function into oblivion. Like I'm like, no, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I will never focus on anything, and I will flitter fly around, and I will never settle. I will not do self-care. It's all this kind of stuff. And once I read that, I was like, holy shit, that has been my entire fucking life when I'm unhealthy. Yeah. And I can see it. I can now see when I start to do that, I'm like,
let's check in.
Yeah. Let's do a little self-care.
Yeah.
Recenter.
Definitely.
Oh my God. I love that you said that.
Yes. Yes. So I am an 8 in the Enneagram, and so when I am unhealthy, I will steamroll people like nobody's business. I'm somebody who has a lot of presence and a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And if I'm not careful with that, I can leave other people in the dust. And so what's really cool is this practice of the Enneagram has actually led me to yoga therapy. Yeah. In our yoga therapy training, we talk a lot about what is the definition of yoga therapy, what is the definition of a yoga therapist, and the kind of collective definition we came up in one of our first classes was somebody who uses their strength and their power to empower the people that they're working with to heal themselves and to move towards transformation. And that to me is the definition of a healthy 8. So somebody who uses this kind of endowment of energy and power and leadership and whatever to help other people, to do it for a selfless cause, essentially. So Enneagram is my number 2. Yoga's number 1.
Oh my
Enneagram
gosh, I'm
is
so
my number 2.
jazzed about that.
Yes. This is great.
I feel like nobody else has heard of that except like 5 people that I know.
And now it's 6, yes!
Yeah.
With yoga and the Enneagram, I would say people are not going to like this one.
Oh no.
People are not going to like this one.
It's okay.
I'm going to say, and it's kind of 2 parts. One is people are okay with this, be in community. Be in a community of people who are working towards transforming themselves. Not to get like weird and biblical, but this thing that Jesus talks about, old wine and new wineskins, like, or new wine and old wineskins, however that goes, is super important. Like, you can't begin to really change if you're stuck in the old environment of people who are going to really want you to not change.
Yeah.
So finding a community is important for that reason, and also one of my favorite teachers, Richard Rohr, says, when we are alone, it is so very easy to surrender to the illusion that we are true saints. And so...
Have somebody that'll call you on your bullshit.
Damn right. Damn right. And then the second part of this community aspect is having somebody who will lead you.
Yeah.
I think that in our culture, we kind of poo-poo this idea of having somebody mentor you.
Because that would mean that you would have to admit that you don't know everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard thing for me.
And your ego might have to get a little
get
pushed
out of the way.
way.
And so I think if you take kind of that community aspect to your wellness journey, there's really no limit to how far you can go. And you know, we are only scratching the surface of the life that we could be living. And you know, being in a community of people who are actively digging into that. And then, you know, surrendering your own ego a little bit and trusting that there are people out there in the world who know more about certain things than you do.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, and like allowing yourself to be led and to be guided in that way, I just think is so incredibly powerful. And there's really nothing better than allowing that.
So because we just touched on it a second, will you explain to the Wellness Posse what is yoga therapy?
Yeah.
How is that kind of, you know, modality used?
Yeah.
What's the difference between yoga? I mean, I think most people think it's like, oh, it's private yoga instruction.
And like, yes, it is. And then no, it is not. So just kind of a brief like overview of yoga. Like the ancient traditions of yoga kind of break the practices into kind of 3 different outcomes. So there is this yoga for healing and this yoga for bringing back into balance. And that is yoga therapy. Then there is this yoga for maintaining balance. So once you've kind of moved to this place where you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good. And that's kind of the general yoga classes, private yoga instruction. Most of yoga in that sense that we kind of know in the West is this kind of yoga for maintenance, essentially. That's going to, you know, not allow us to backslide. And then there's this other kind of branch of yoga for developing these superhuman qualities. So, you know, be it holding your breath for, you know, 40 minutes or what, it is kind of ridiculous. These things that like we don't really get to touch on in our country because really we're so far out of balance that we got a long way to go before
we got to baby step it.
We got to baby step this shit. So, so yoga therapy is about bringing people into balance in whatever capacity they may be out of balance. So mentally, emotionally, physically, again, addressing the person holistically. And yoga therapy is different than just a normal like private yoga lesson, mostly in that being a yoga therapist takes a long fucking time. So there are plenty of like 200-hour yoga teachers who say they use therapeutic yoga, and that's insulting to me, and that's insulting to yoga therapists. basically the baseline of yoga to teach anywhere at any studio is like 200 hours of training, which is not a lot.
Yeah.
It's enough to get in there and start working and doing some cool things. But as far as like addressing, let's say, a client I once had a pesanterine, bursitis in their knee, and it's like a regular yoga teacher, 200 hours, not going to know what to do with that.
Yeah.
Where me as a yoga therapist, in training currently, I know how to work with that. I understand kind of these like more medical issues, and essentially like I go from a 200-hour RYT, like registered yoga teacher, to a 1,000-hour
It's a little more
certified by an international association of yoga therapists. So, if you are like interested, or if you've heard the words thrown around yoga therapy, make sure you find a CIAYT, a certified yoga therapist by the International Association of Yoga Therapists, because the amount of information and the amount of oversight and resources that we have in that is really like far beyond your like more basic 200-hour teacher training.
Yeah.
And we are equipped to work with the healthcare industry, so like we're learning how to work with doctors.
Great.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
it's very like it's really nitty gritty. It's really boots on the ground. Where some teacher trainings can be a little bit heady and a little bit woo woo.
Yeah.
I'm all down for the woo woo. I love that shit. But it's great to get this training and this boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Like you have a torn rotator cuff. All right, we're going to help you rehab from surgery. Like, I'm going to give you meditations to help you move through your hip reconstruction. Like, I'm going to, as a yoga therapist, give you movements to help work through grief and anxiety and depression. So we're really taking a lot of different aspects of wellness, and again, looking at the person holistically, and addressing mind, emotion, and physicality in all of their issues, like whatever that might be.
Yeah, I like to kind of explain it like it's the difference between a personal trainer, which is fantastic for certain things, and they might know some kind of therapeutic things if your knee hurts or your hip hurts. The difference between that and a physical therapist, and a sports physical therapist. So they do share a lot of the same base knowledge, and even a lot of trainers now get additional certifications and specialties. But physical therapy school is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Just like everybody in every field, there are great people in there. It's a gradient of expertise and knowledge and understanding and implementation. But if you're going in for something very specific, going to somebody that has those credentials can be important. I won't say that credentials are always awesome, but for certain things, I really agree with them.
Yes.
So we've kind of we're going to get attacked by the sun. In case the lighting is changing, where the sun is coming, we're going to start melting a little. It's all right. I'm trying this whole new outside thing. I didn't know.
That's cool. I like nature.
Me too. We're getting our vitamin D. It's really good for us.
Getting our sweat on. We don't even have to move. We can just hang out here and bake.
It's like a sauna.
Like the whole city is a sauna.
Yeah, from Denver?
Yeah, well, and I grew up, I've moved around so much, but yes, it's definitely hotter than Denver.
Yeah. So, I've talked to one thing I really like to talk to people about is what, in kind of your category or field, what are conversations that you hear yoga instructors having, or actually not having, that you wish kind of in the yoga circle, maybe this conversation was happening more? There's a lot of yoga people that talk about a lot of interesting topics. So I'm just interested to see, like, if you wish one conversation were happening more between yoga instructors and their clients, what would those kind of general conversations be?
I think that there's this kind of strange dichotomy between the yoga instructors who are super fitness minded and like gonna kick your ass in a sweaty hour and a half vinyasa class, and then the yoga instructors who are a little bit more heady and frou-frou, and who are gonna like sit you down with a mantra meditation and
Put
play
some
some singing
crystals.
bowls. Yeah, and put some crystals on it. And I think that like in this weird like polarity around those things, there's a lot of tension. You know, the workout people kind of like whatever, like that frou-frou, I don't like, that's way out there, and that's, you know, that's not whatever. And then
That's not yoga.
Yeah, that's not yoga. And then the like woo-woo people are like, that's not yoga. And I wish that there was a little bit more talk between those two things, and a little bit more integration of those two things, because it's not yoga if you're not meditating, like, and it's not yoga if your body is out of the picture. So it's like you really have to bring those things together. And I would love to see more instructors really pushing themselves to open up to the places where they have resistance, and those places where they think, oh, that's not yoga. And that's really like an inner work sort of thing. Like that's a you know, a personal thing that people need to kind of take ownership of. Like, why do I think that's not yoga? And how can I open up to that? And how can I learn that and use that to improve the lives of my clients and my students? So I'd really love to see some more kind of crossover in that. And I think that's one thing that I'm definitely learning, like in my yoga therapy training, is like how to approach the body, the minds, and the emotions in all of these different ways, and why it's important, and how to do that the most effective way possible, the most efficient way possible. So that's definitely a conversation in the yoga community specifically. I think would be really cool to see.
I think that that's actually even a bigger conversation within the wellness fitness industry, is that we pigeonhole ourselves of this is what I do, and I find a lot of professionals are even feel threatened by talking or discussing what they do with other wellness professionals, or sending their clients to other modalities, or doing this, because they're living in this scarcity mindset that if I send my client to yoga or to a PT, they're not going to need me. They're not going to need me anymore, and they don't like me, and what am I going to do? And it's just utter bullshit. If our main goal really as wellness professionals is to have our clients thrive and be the happiest, healthiest version of themselves, we need to give them the freedom and the information to do whatever modalities work for them at that point in their life.
And to be a bridge for that, I think, is so important.
And I promise you, the more you give them and put out there, and especially between wellness professionals, the more it will come back. It is this abundance mentality that I promise. I am like the referral queen of the world, and it has served me better than probably any other practice I do in my business.
Yeah, because you build relationships, and what happens is your clients, your students, get more value from you because you have given them something of more value. You know, we're told in yoga therapy training, like, every day we're there. You can't do it all. Know your scope of practice.
You cannot.
Build your referral list. Like, you know, you need to know physicians. Like, you need to know actual doctors. Like, the yoga community is real resistant to Western medicine. And in yoga therapy, we're trying to bridge that gap. And it's like, you know what? We need that. And we need to work with it. We can't resist it. We can't work against it. We need to work with it. We need to work with personal trainers. We need to work with physical therapists. We need to work with Reiki healers. We need to work with Theta healers. We need to work with, you know, crystal bowl massage, this whatever. We have to be able and be willing to build a community, a village for our clients to step into, because this wellness journey is so hard, and you're not going to be successful without a team of people in your corner.
And it's also a longevity thing. You're not always going to be able to do, and if you're going to if your clients are going to let you expand and grow and learn new things and kind of change what you're doing, you're not always going to be the best fit for everybody. So check your fucking ego and really understand what your clients need, and try to really get curious about what they need, so that you can help them get on the correct path, because that is
Yeah.
really what I view as our goal as wellness professionals. It's not really about building our business. It's about really helping people. At least that's what my business is.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's about checking your ego and getting out of your client's way.
Yeah.
You know, like, so, and I mean, and it happens to everyone, especially, I think, early on. Like,
Yeah, you're terrified and you're broke.
and, so you have this, like, this sense that you have to hold on to them no matter what. And so it's like,
I'll do whatever you want.
You need this? Okay, great. I'm gonna go figure it out. And like, you spend 10 minutes on Google trying to figure out what the hell this modality is, or you know, and really, it's about knowing your own strengths and being really confident in that.
Yeah.
And when you're in that place and you kind of accept it, all right, like, here's what I am, here's what I do really well, here's what I don't do well. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Then you can open up and let those things go and let your clients go and check with other wellness professionals and check with other people, so that, you know, they become more they become healthier, they become more well-rounded. And you play a part in that by not doing. You play a part in that by not screwing it up.
Yeah.
And by getting out of your own way and your client's way, so that they can get what they need.
Oh, love it. So kind of on those same lines, as I really do believe that is kind of a myth, is that like you can do everything yourself.
No,
you
cannot.
You are the guru of everything wellness. Even though I feel like maybe that's what I've tried to do in my career.
That 7-ness coming out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a little bit of everything.
A little bit, just a little sprinkle in. What is a wellness myth, maybe around yoga, that you wish that you could immediately bust in 2017? That we're still
Myth
fucking
busted.
talking about?
Let's see. I feel like I got so out of the questions.
Yeah, it's okay.
I went over the. I was going over them. I think a big one. I think
come back.
I think a really big one is that showing up to a yoga class once or twice a week means that you're doing yoga. I think that there's this kind of idea that like just showing up at the class is really enough to experience the full benefits of what yoga has to offer. And like, unless you're in the studio every single day, and you know, unless you're under the tutelage of somebody who's showing you, you know, you're working on meditation, breath work, these kind of more philosophical aspects of yoga, you're really selling yourself short. I think there are just unnamed benefits in showing up to a yoga class and going through it and being led in that way. But for a lot of people, that's kind of where they stop. And I think I just want to, you know, kind of bust that myth, but then also challenge people who are in that space to dig a little bit deeper. Like, especially if those yoga classes have done something for you.
Yeah.
Like, if those yoga classes have, you know, you feel better afterwards and you've been practicing for several months and you start to see this change in your life, I challenge you to really engage with that, grab hold of that, and dig a little bit deeper, because what you've experienced in this, you know, hour class at the YMCA where I teach, which is great.
Awesome.
There is so much more if you dig deeper.
Yeah.
You know, like it grows exponentially.
And most yoga instructors are so fucking jazzed if somebody walks up afterward and is like,
oh my
actually
God, yes!
interested in like, well, this has really done something for me. What else can I do? Or do you have something I can read? Or do you have a person I can look at, you know, book or something?
That
I mean,
is the
people
best feeling
will
in the world.
bring you books. I mean, people will send you lists of things, resources.
Oh my God. So many
They'll
books.
probably go to coffee with you. I mean, like,
totally.
really, it's just you asking and then getting the balls and being like, I really enjoy this.
Yeah.
I'd like to go deeper. What would be next steps that you would
definitely.
suggest?
And, you know, a lot of people and a lot of studios say that, like, next steps is, like, doing a teacher training. And I guess that's another myth to bust is, like, you know, next steps doesn't have to be a teacher training.
No.
You know, you can really develop your own practice beforehand. and I feel hypocritical saying this, but I really believe it's beneficial to develop your practice in a strong way before you take a teacher training.
I agree.
I hadn't been practicing very long, but I'd been practicing very intensely when I took mine. And even then, I wish that I had had a broader base of my own personal practice. And so I definitely I would say ask your yoga teacher. Are there books I can read? Are there podcasts I can listen to? Are there because there's so much. And and that's a really wonderful feeling, because sharing yoga is, for me, not just about what happens in class, although I love that. There's so much more, and if I can share that much more with my students, it really is just the best fucking feeling in the world.
Yeah, I love that. So one of the things I really like to kind of, pull the curtain back in is wellness professionals struggle with wellness.
Yeah, that's why we're wellness professionals.
Almost always is because we either have struggled, and just like everybody, we can be doing good, and then something can happen, and then we can kind of get off the path, and we have to recenter. So I like for everybody to share, what is the time where you really were struggling to kind of stay the course, and kind of what did you feel got you back on track?
So a really specific time for me was actually last summer. I was working in coffee because that was my other great passion, and then I had the opportunity to take a job, full-time management of a shop, and I was like, great, this is in line with where I want to go. I felt very torn between coffee and yoga, and this opportunity presented itself, and I was like, all right, universe, I guess you're telling me to pick coffee. And so I went and I did it, and I had to move from Buda all the way up to North Austin. It was a really big stretch, and so I had to leave some of my classes and stop teaching basically altogether to focus on this job. Turns out, job did not work out. Oh, not great. That's a whole different story. But what happened in that time period is my confidence was really deeply shaken, and my practice suffered. I didn't have a physical practice. I didn't have my meditation practice, and kind of the space of moving and kind of getting resituated. I was unsettled in kind of every way, and it was really, really difficult, and that was a huge struggle for me, and I saw that play out in kind of my emotional well-being, in my physical well-being, and I felt kind of, I felt that kind of spirit start to dim. And it was really hard. And I'm lucky that in that time I had some friends and a really supportive partner who were clearly yoga is very important to you. It doesn't make sense that you're not doing it. And so I had a community of people
that saw she was out of alignment.
That saw that I was not in the greatest space, and they encouraged me to kind of get back to my practice, back to my routine. Routine's really big for me. When I don't have it in the morning,
it's really big for all humans.
It's important. I know it sounds shitty and cliche, but a routine, especially in the morning when you start, or whenever you start your day, if it's not in the morning, that's fine, is so important for how you kind of set the trajectory for the rest of your day and the rest of your life. And so I very slowly got back to that. It was interesting because when I kind of set my physical practice aside first, and just tried to do meditation and just tried to do my 20 minutes twice a day, whatever, and that doesn't work. Asana, physical postures, are a part of yoga for a reason, and that reason is it prepares your body and your mind to meditate. And so after a while of that, my meditation practice kind of fell off, and then I was in a real shit show, and so I wanted to reach back and get my meditation practice first. Something about that I was a lot more hungry for, but I could only do that through
Together.
my physical practice.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I took charge of my life in a lot of ways, and I said, this is when I want to work, this is what I'm going to do. And I said, you know, that means like I made time in my life. I prioritized my practice and that routine for myself so that I could get back on track, and it's been the best thing. And I think it was this, you know, weird, I mean, it was close to 8 months of
Okay.
just being like, I mean, it was a
Good block of
significant
time.
amount of
Yeah.
time where I was just kind of floating along, and I feel like that time gave me a much deeper appreciation of what these practices do. Like,
and
it's
why
really, yeah,
you-
and why
wow.
I do them,
And why they're
Yeah.
so important to your
and
life.
why I want to share them as
Yeah,
well. You know, like
exactly.
that was. I feel like there was a lot of learning, a lot of growing that went into that, and I was able to see that and kind of work with that. But yeah, that was definitely a hard time, and then just kind of one of my like constant struggles,
Yeah.
my diet.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably where I have the hardest time making and keeping positive change.
Yeah.
I would definitely say, like that's a continued struggle for me.
Most people. I would say the majority of people.
Oh my
That-
God, I'm not unique.
That is their constant struggle. So that's our main portion. So now we move on to the wildfire wellness round. A rapid fire. Here we go.
Finger guns.
Here we go. Okay, top 3 favorite wellness books, people or podcasts or information sources.
Oh, okay. So author, yoga instructor, person who I really enjoy is Baron Baptiste. So I was certified in a Baptiste style of power vinyasa, and he's actually a really great writer too. So I've read several of his books, and they're really great. If you know you're looking to get into yoga, that's a good place to start. He has oh crap, I forget the name of it. Something Journey into Power is his first book, and that's a really great like intro to yoga and his specific style of yoga. It's not for everyone, but it's a great place to start. So I enjoy his books and his teachings. Another great specifically yoga author is Stephen Cope. He has written a lot of really great books. I'm a really big reader, so I'm really into the books.
Do you read physical books?
Yes, I'm a physical book reader. I've just now branched into the like iPad
Kindle.
thing, and I'm like,
I'm not sure about this.
yes, exactly. So I'm kind of inching my way into that. But Stephen Cope wrote a book called Yoga and the Search for the True Self.
Okay.
It's a really incredible overview of yoga and kind of all of its aspects and how they can affect your life. And he does it in this wonderful like narrative sort of style. So it's very easy to read, even though it's kind of a dense book.
Okay.
And he has other like everything that he's read is amazing. The Great Story of Your Life is an incredible book, changed my life and really set me on the trajectory to be here doing what I'm doing now. Enneagram shout out for anybody who's interested in learning more about the Enneagram. One of my favorite teachers is Suzanne Stabile.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's super cool. It is. I give like a little disclaimer for people, especially in the wellness community, especially in Austin. It's a little religious.
It can be.
Yeah,
That's
it can
where my
be.
dad and his wife founded at
Yeah,
church.
yeah, church. So,
But it doesn't have to.
yeah,
be.
it doesn't have to
I'm
be.
not very traditional and religious.
Yeah.
I just move on in my spirituality. And
Yeah.
That's what it is.
And so Suzanne Stabile is definitely teaching the Enneagram from a Christian perspective, but her insight is valuable no matter what
Completely.
faith or unfaith you're coming from. And she has a great podcast and a new book out, and I've taken a few of her, like, I've worked through her curriculum a couple times, yeah. And she's great. In the terms of the Enneagram, she is a 2, and she's basically born to teach and help people. So
Yeah.
that's a really great resource that I throw out to people who are interested in learning more
I
about that.
love that. That's a good one. So we talked that you touched on routine and the importance of routine in your life. So what does your first and last 30-ish minutes look like? It can be longer if you have a longer routine.
Yeah, my routine is a little bit longer in the morning. So I get up 5 o'clock, 5:30 if I snooze.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that less. I make coffee, for my partner and I, and we sit and read,
Pour over?
drink up. Yes, yeah, I have Chemex every morning. So we sit and read, drink coffee, kind of slowly wake up, and then it's anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes of yoga, and then 20 minutes of meditation, and then either for me, depending on what my partner's doing, my partner and I will do weights, like weight workout, weight training in the morning, or she'll go on a run, and I'll say have fun, and I'll just read some more. I don't like running. And so that's kind of the start of my day, and then the end of my day is still like my evening routine is definitely like coming into being. But I sleep better, I wake up better the next morning when I drink some tea and I read and I journal. Like right before bed. That's just kind of I'm finding that works best for me. So yeah, that's definitely my what I would like my end routine to be.
What's your spirit animal?
Spirit animal. Depends on who you ask.
Oh.
I was like, if you ask me, I want it to be something like a tiger. Something very like fierce and sleek and all of these things. If you ask my partner, she would probably say like a golden retriever puppy. Just like total opposite.
It's almost the same.
Yeah. They're very similar. They're very similar. So I think if you could, I guess the like combination of that would be like some sort of like tiny miniature tiger cub.
Oh yeah.
And it is just like cute and cuddly and sweet, but like thinks they're real
tough.
Yeah, real tough. And may one day be real tough. In some ways is tough, but also just like cuddly and just wants to curl up in your lap. So yeah.
What would you think your superpower would be?
My superpower would be. Are you talking about like if an aspect of my personality became a superpower, or
So you can
if
do-
I got to pick from this like wide
You
range?
can do.
of kind of
We've
preset?
had people do either.
Okay.
Or you can do both. But normally it is what is innately about you that you feel like is like a superpower that you bring to the world, like a real life,
a real thing that I
a
do
real thing
that can
you
be
do.
considered.
And
a
then we'll
superpower.
talk about
Okay.
what superpower.
I think my it's kind of like threefold, like my energy, my optimism, and my insightfulness. So like especially when working with friends or clients or whoever it may be, I feel like I have a superhuman ability to see what's going on and to understand what someone can do to change the situation for the better. So I feel like I'm kind of a super coach. Like if there were an aspect of my personality, it would be that. Like I feel uniquely gifted in seeing the best in people and knowing, like intuitively knowing what the best is in a person. Like not necessarily like what's best for them, but who they are at their core and how to get there.
Oh, I love that. Well, and since we're on it, what superpower would you pick if you were a superhero?
If I were a superhero, man, I kind of want to say something like super strength or like the ability to jump really high or something. Like I feel like that would be really great and would like come in handy a lot more than other superpowers. I've had this conversation with friends about like would you want to be able to fly as a human? And I'm like, no, like that'd make your skin feel weird and there'd be bugs, and it's like real practical and down to earth. I'm like, I don't want to fly. I don't really want X-ray vision. Like I feel like that's a little too much.
TMI all the time.
Exactly. I was like, I don't want to go there. And so something like super strength or being able to jump really high, I feel like would be a great superpower.
I like that. If you could put a slogan on a T-shirt and make everybody wear it, what would it be?
Stop being an asshole.
Yeah! Me too! Dick.
Oh, and like I would have to wear it too. Don't worry, we're all in this
asshole.
together.
That is my new favorite.
Yes.
And then I really like to end on kind of a reflection. What would you say to your 16-year-old self, and what do you think your 90-year-old self would say to you now?
Oh shit. Well, to my 16-year-old self, I would say, you're gay.
Just Love
like
it,
that
love
that
it,
would
embrace
be,
it.
yeah, that
It
would
would've
be
been
a
a lot
really,
easier
oh,
path.
hell yeah. And like my poor 16-year-old self had just like zero awareness around that, just like none. Like,
We're gonna live in denial land.
well, and like even past denial,
Oh, yeah?
just like, it's not like I knew and was trying to deny it. I just like was oblivious, like
Oh.
completely oblivious. That was what I would tell my 16-year-old self. I feel like that would speed a lot of things up. And then my 90-year-old self, I feel like would tell me now to slow the fuck down and relax about it.
yeah.
That's, yeah.
I think almost every 90-year-old telling
It's
you
like-
you're 20-something, like you need to
You're fine.
pump the brakes a little.
Yeah.
It'll
Pump the
all
brakes.
happen.
There's this great Facebook meme that's been going around. It's just like text, and it's like, pick your battles. Pick fewer battles than that. That's still too many. Pick less battles. Put some back. And I think that's definitely one of them. That's what my 90-year-old self. That's a meme from my future self to me now, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for coming and talking to the Wellness Posse today.
Yeah!
But I want you to, before we leave, kind of share with you what's coming up, how the Wellness Posse can find you, any
Yeah!
kind of parting words.
Oh my God, yes. So as far as what's coming up for me, I have recently moved from kind of half coffee, half yoga to full-time yoga, which means I've opened up my practice to new clients. So if you're looking for, I can say yoga therapy now because my internship is starting and I have supervision and that sort of stuff. So I can say if you're looking for yoga therapy, you can come to me. Or if you're just looking to deepen your yoga practice, I would love to lead you in that. I've got a few workshops coming up. So in this Saturday, actually, I'm doing a workshop up in Pflugerville. So if there's any North Austin Wellness Posse, it's all about using intentions and really taking some sharp aim at your life. So to deepen your yoga practice and to really improve your life, it's amazing what setting a meaningful goal and sticking to it can do. And then, since we've kind of talked about it a little bit already, on August 5th at Practice Yoga Austin, I'm hosting a Yogi's Guide to the Enneagram. So,
Shut up! I'm gonna go to that for sure. That's awesome.
So Saturday, August 5th, from 3:30 to 5:30.
That's awesome.
Learn what the Enneagram is, discover your Enneagram number, and learn how that influences and can help deepen your practice and improve your life. So how you can use the tools of yoga and the Enneagram together to get this self-transformation that we've been talking about.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I take appointments in South Austin. I also do out calls, as well as I have studio space out in Dripping Springs. So if there's any Wellness Posse a little bit farther west, I can definitely help you out. And so parting words is just know that you're not alone. We're all doing this together. Never be afraid to reach out and keep practicing.
Yes, girl.
Girl,
So
just a handshake,
awesome.
high fives,
And
hugs, sweaty hugs. It's hot out here.
Yeah, it's hot as balls. So sorry. We won't do this again, but it's okay. But thank you
Yes.
so much for
Thank
being
you for
here.
having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Wellness Posse, for making this happen and continuing to support Allie and what she's doing and how she's supporting the rest of the wellness community here in Austin. It's really cool to build this kind of community. It's so important.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
We'll have links to all of Abby's stuff in the
Links,
show
links,
notes.
links.
All right. Bye.
Bye.